I've got to say, I've been riding around a lot of the world. The ride we did today in Scotland is right up there with some of the best motorbiking I've ever done. Welcome to day 3 of MMD, do the North Coast 500. We're in lovely Balmacora. I wouldn't recommend this hotel, but the view is pretty spectacular, as is always the case in Scotland. So we're up nice and early. Today's going to be the hottest day apparently. Apparently where we are is going to be 24 degrees, which is the hottest day in the entire United Kingdom. And we're looking forward to it because today we've got bea'lach na bar. So onwards and upwards, and we'll check in when we reach Applecross. Stay tuned. The route today was reportedly going to take us through some spectacular countryside, not least of which was the very famous bea'lach na bar, probably the most famous biking road in the country. And as a single track road, we were given the advice the best time to do it was either early in the morning or later on in the day when there's going to be less traffic. So bright and early we set off on the road with a little bit of apprehension because neither of us were really sure just how difficult the road was going to be. But nevertheless, we were looking forward to the challenge. We got to the start of the road reasonably early. We set off before 8 o'clock and we thought what we'd do is get across the road while the traffic was pretty light, and the plan was to have breakfast in Applecross. We set off with a mixture of excitement tinged with slight apprehension. Bea'lach na bar has got a fearsome reputation, and everything I'd read about it and all the motovlogger YouTube videos I'd seen of it talked about how daunting it could be and it was not for the faint-hearted. Well, pretty soon we were going to find out for ourselves. The road itself boasts the steepest ascent of any road climb in the UK, and it rises from sea level to over 2,054 feet at the highest point. It's the third highest road in Scotland, and the name itself is Scottish Gaelic for Pass of the Cattle, as historically it was used as a drover's road. The road is actually listed on a website called dangerousroads.org. and it states that the route demands 100% concentration. This road has humbled many egos. It's not for the sissies and shouldn't be attempted by novice drivers. It's similar to the great mountain passes in the Alps with very tight hairpin bends which switch back and forth up the hillside with gradients approaching 20%. It's recommended that beginner riders and those who don't know how to reverse avoid this road. The UK's toughest climb goes against the grain of many of the other British climbs, in that it's fearsome both in length and gradient. It was actually built in 1822. The original road was rough gravel and very difficult to clear in winter, meaning it could be blocked for weeks on end. And in 1950 it was asphalted. So that's the official line, but right now we're absolutely loving this road, knowing full well that the hardest bit is right near the top, where there are 3 back-to-back hairpins, and that'll be the real test. So here they come, cue dramatic music. So that was it, folks, the famous bea'lach na bar. Luckily we picked fantastic weather to do it in. I must admit I wouldn't be that keen on doing it in heavy wind, rain and low cloud. But one thing is worth noting, the GoPro footage doesn't do it justice. The roads are narrower than it shows on camera, the incline steeper and the hairpins tighter. So really proud of my biker buddy today. Well, we made it, folks. The viewing point of bea'lach na bar, the highest pass in Scotland, maybe even in Britain. So to get down now to Applecross, grab some breakfast to celebrate riding one of the best passes, one of some iconic roads, if not in the world then certainly in Britain. Result.
We made it to the top of bea'lach na bar and this is the view from there. 3 pretty steep hairpins, but really pretty manageable. We set off early so that we had the roads to ourselves.
After a brief stop to admire the view, it was back on the bikes and off down to Applecross for a well-earned breakfast. the famous Applecross Inn, the other side of bea'lach just arrived after breakfast, and it's so peaceful, so still, so beautiful. And we're going to be heading over there across the bay on, I think it's the West Coast Trail to Shieldaig. Beautiful. So let's get back on the road. Our next stop was going to be coffee at Shieldaig via the Scenic route, which meant taking the Westeros coastal trail through some of the most stunning landscape and scenery in all of the Highlands. the way to Shieldaig on the Western Ross coastal path. Pretty much in the middle of nowhere. Shieldaig is noted for being a beautiful picturesque village on the edge of Loch Shieldaig. It was built in 1800. The purpose was to attract families to take up fishing for a living and in the process to help build up a stock of trained seamen who could be called upon by the Royal Navy during the Napoleonic Wars. And we're just hoping that it had a really good coffee shop. And thankfully we weren't disappointed. Shieldaig on the way to Loch Marie. We've just done bea'lach and the West Ross Coastal Road. Fantastic. And here we are for a coffee stop. I say a coffee stop because I asked specifically, could she make a flat white? So let's see if she managed to do that, shall we?
I'm not sure I did in the dark.
Coffee and a piece of cake. Nanny's coffee shop. Oh, how about that then? Flat white and a piece of chocolate cake. Nanny. Brilliant.